Do not come. Do not come.
All right, so in regards to all the recent, plane incidents, plane crashes and all that, I want to talk about air traffic controllers, okay? Because they operate in such high-stake environments with their decisions directly impacted, or that their decisions that directly impact safety of countless passengers every single day. The nature of the responsibilities, like managing aircraft movements, ensuring safe distances between planes, the landings, the takeoffs, those are all things that demand like unwavering attention and precision. To work overtime and such long hours every single day on a daily basis, that's so much stress. And the relentless pressure, it can lead to like significant stress, which, if not managed properly, may contribute to operational errors, of course. And for instance, I'm going to talk about an example that happened back in 2011, but try to see if you can catch on to a pattern or something that I'm mentioning a lot, okay? But in 2011, there was a lone air traffic controller, okay? He was by himself. He was working the night shift at the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, okay? And he fell asleep on duty. And this resulted in 2 airliners landing without guidance. And luckily, it didn't end disastrously. It went well, but such incidents underscore the critical need for effective stress management and adequate staffing in air control operations. Okay, it's just so important right now, more than ever. Like, the demanding nature of ATC work, it leads to like coping mechanisms that can be detrimental to both like the personally themselves and the job performance. And controllers, they may resort to like increased caffeine consumption, irregular eating habits, insufficient sleep, all these things, and to cope with their schedules. And these habits can exacerbate fatigue and reduce cognitive function, and that could be very damaging. It could like impair their ability to perform effectively. Is like the point I'm trying to make. Notably, though, regulations in other countries, they mandate breaks at least every 2 hours to mitigate fatigue. They acknowledging that performance can deteriorate rapidly after prolonged periods of work without rest. But however, despite these regulations, the persistent stress and unconventional work hours can lead to unhealthy lifestyle choices among many controllers. And this video will talk about that too. So let's just get to it.
On February 4th, 2023, a plane from Southwest came within 100 feet of a FedEx plane in Austin.
Southwest aboard. FedEx is on the go.
One thing I want to mention is the title. The title of this, where is it? It's called "There Will Be a Collision in the Next 3 Years." And this was posted a year ago, okay? That's very important.
Just over a week after that, a plane from Spirit Airline came within 200 feet of a cargo plane in Miami. The New York Times released an investigation that showed that these almost collisions, known as near misses, were happening multiple times a week, more than 500 in the previous year. Each one of those could have resulted in hundreds of deaths. Each one of these was because of a minor.
You know what's interesting is that they're called near misses. I think all planes flying, around each other are near misses. It's funny that they don't call them near hits, because that would be like, oh, that was a near hit. Or, I don't know.
A potentially catastrophic error made by an air traffic controller. Being an air traffic controller is one of the most high stakes and stressful jobs you can have. We talk to workers who are watching out for millions of us every day to find out who's watching out for them. First, let's talk about what air traffic controllers actually do. You've maybe flown dozens of times in your life and never thought about the people in the control tower.
I never have.
We have the largest and most complex aviation network in the world. There's no other country in the world that can come close to the number of airports, the number of flights, the amount of traffic.
That's Bill McGee. He's worked in aviation for decades.
It's no secret that this is one of the most stressful professions you could possibly imagine. It is literally life and death. Whether it's Chicago O'Hare or New York LaGuardia or Los Angeles LAX, you're going to be encountering dozens.
I live by LaGuardia right now.
And dozens.
And I just moved here from I used to live by LAX.
Dozens of flights on that shift. It's always been this way, but it's gotten much worse in recent years.
To find out why that is, we wanted to talk to air traffic controllers, some who are retired and some who are currently on the job. It was just
Again, I'm going to be fast forwarding through this because I just want to show you some of the main points, but definitely check this video. It's by a YouTube channel called More Perfect Union, and yeah, it has the different chapters, but I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through some of it.
So we started
report. I was too busy to keep watching it. Another example of why short staffing is a safety issue.
Our mental health is suffering with the extra stress and close calls like this.
This could have easily been an aircraft accident report.
We're having our evening rush on crack.
We are currently in a staffing
I can barely
hole.
work it sometimes, which is why I'm filling out this report.
It's not that we don't have skilled and qualified people. We have skilled and qualified people that don't want to do these jobs. We have lost a lot of experienced air traffic controllers, and the ones that are still on the job are under tremendous stress.
I finally did get a few people to talk to me.
It's not that they're not qualified, okay, Donald? You wouldn't even believe how qualified, and even after being qualified, they have to keep up with having the stability, like mentally, physically, health-wise, to keep up with this job. So what a slap in the face for Donald to come out and say unqualified, because, oh my God, you're lucky that these people are so good at their jobs and stay so, like, dedicated and committed to what they do. Like, that was so offensive, and you'll see.
Anonymously, and they confirmed what Bill said.
Mostly controllers are just fatigued. With a lot of the mistakes happening, I think it's not a far leap to attribute those mistakes to the decade-plus run of facilities using overtime as a crutch for staffing. We are currently in a staffing hole, and they aren't even hiring enough controllers to keep up with attrition.
ATCs report working 10-hour shifts, 6 days a week, year-round, and sometimes overtime on top of that. It makes it impossible to have a regular sleep schedule, or frankly, a life outside of work. Multiple ATCs reported that the schedule was creating stress and anxiety, as well as depression.
ATCs are known for being functional alcoholics. I would have 5 to 6 drinks per night. When I got home from a shift, I would grab a glass of vodka before my bag even hit the floor. So at what point is it just alcoholics running the FAA? Do we want that?
That is crazy. I can't even imagine that. That's so unfortunate. I don't drink. I don't like to drink because it doesn't taste like Kool-Aid, and I don't like things where I can't control my body, and I don't drink. My siblings are and we're alcoholics to the max, so like the worst, like the ultimate kind of alcoholics, and it just never looked very pleasing or tempting. So I don't drink, so I can't imagine. Actually, you know what? The first time I ever had a real hangover, the first time, I think it was like 18, that was the last time I've ever had like a drunk night, okay? That was bad enough for me to be like, oh, hell no. So the fact that these people are becoming alcoholics of all things, like, that's pretty extreme.
Ultimately, ATCs across the country are worried that one of these near misses won't be a miss.
I guarantee there will be a collision in the next 3 years.
So why are controllers having to work hours like this?
3 years, and 1 year later, here we are.
Well, understaffing is a problem that goes back years, or specifically to 1 year. Dominic was an air traffic controller in the 1980s.
When he was running
PATCO made the
to rectify all those bad problems.
Many PATCO members knew Reagan as the president of the Screen Actors Guild. He was a union man, but he didn't fool Dominic.
Ronald Reagan.
He was a showman, that was it.
I take it that you are a performer?
That's all hat and no cattle, as they used to say.
A year after Reagan was elected, none of the changes had been made at the FAA.
The minute that he got crowned, he disappeared. After about 8 months of just sitting there saying, we're still working 6-day weeks, we're working overtime, we're burning out, we never got a response after that from the White House.
That's when PATCO voted to strike.
There were 1,500 air traffic controllers there. We were up all night, and we said we're going on strike. You couldn't hear yourself think. It was like the roar of a 737. After about 2 hours, there wasn't an airplane in the sky except Air Force One.
Federal employees in the United States aren't allowed to go on strike. That's been true since the passage of Taft-Hartley in 1947.
What? How is that a thing? You're not allowed to go on strike?
You can't sit and negotiate with a union that's in violation of the law.
But no president had ever invoked that part of the act. It was, as one historian we spoke to put it, a gentleman's agreement. The Postal Service had staged a
It's not illegal if you succeed, right?
multi-day wildcat strike in 1970, and President Nixon had used firm words.
If the Postmaster General deems it necessary to act in other affected major cities, I will not hesitate to act.
But he didn't go as far as Reagan would.
They are in violation of the law, and if they do not report for work within 48 hours, they have forfeited their jobs and will be terminated.
Reagan laid off the striking air traffic controllers in one day, more than
What a dick.
11,000 of them. He also sent federal marshals to arrest 17 union leaders across the country.
This guy's a legend, Steve Wallet. He was arrested by the federal marshals, brought out in chains, chained to controller.
This has caused cyclical shortages ever since. The real legacy of the strike, though, is the way Reagan successfully tamed the union. Air traffic controllers were essentially silenced into accepting long hours and impossible schedules.
You 20,000 applicants, my job's available, I've been fired. Give it a try. And I'd like to talk to you in about 5 years and see how you feel then.
I think it's...
There's somebody in the comments who I guess was around, like literally here, and they talk about this guy and they said he sure as hell was right and more. I'll go through that later.
Impossible to underestimate how huge the PATCO strike was, not just in aviation circles, but in labor. The Reagan administration deliberately set out to break the labor movement in the United States.
There's something else we need to talk about that a ton of ATCs brought up in our conversation, and that's mental health. The scheduling of the overtime is creating a lot of fatigue and stress. But what about if you just need medication because of life?
We know that
I think that the FAA needs to offer better incentives so that more people will want to get hired. And of course, this main point, they need to offer mental health resources free. They need to offer free mental health resources because this is insane. This is uncalled for.
safety-sensitive personnel are required to meet certain medical standards to maintain an active operational status.
That's William Hoffman, who studies mental health among pilots and in aviation. Air traffic controllers, because of the nature of their work, are set to very high health standards, both physical and mental.
Right now, the aeromedical screening system in a lot of ways is dichotomous. The personnel is fit to perform their duties or they're not fit to perform their duties. But mental health is more complicated because what we're looking for is more subtle incapacitation. They're not completely incapacitated, but they're maybe not 100% able to perform their duties.
If an ATC has experienced anxiety and depression and wants to go on medication, they temporarily lose their medical clearance and have to take off 6 months to a year to take something as simple as Prozac. This can lead to self-medication, or what Hoffman...
That's insane. Did you hear that? So if they go and get help and they have to take certain medications, they automatically can't work for 6 months. Let's listen to that again.
On medication, they temporarily lose their medical clearance and have to take off 6 months to a year to take something as simple as Prozac. This can lead to self-medication, or what Hoffman...
Okay, Donald, so I don't want to hear about nobody being unqualified or whatever the heck he had to say.
...calls healthcare avoidance. Multiple ATCs I spoke with mentioned that they use alcohol as a form of medication.
Our study of over 5,000 pilots across North America showed that over 50% reported a history of healthcare avoidance due to fear for losing their certificate. Air traffic controllers find themselves in similar circumstances.
One of the ATCs I talked to, the one who was drinking every night, she eventually left the job for mental health reasons, and she said her drinking fell by 80%. It turns out I wasn't an alcoholic, she told me. I was just an air traffic controller.
That's uncalled for. That's nuts. That should not be happening.
2023, air traffic control suddenly became front page news in the United States. Suddenly, Congress and media and the public are
my man, Pete Buttigieg, I love him.
all saying, we need answers. How did this happen? Well, it's not a mystery in many cases. The fact is, we have been understaffed and underfunded and under-resourced.
Is to guarantee that the job itself is sustainable for the worker. So tell us your story below.
So it's crazy. And, I think, so these recent incidents, they have highlighted the potential consequences of stress and staffing shortages in ATC. Like just this month, March 2025, the FAA, they initiated an investigation into erroneous collision alerts at Washington's Ronald Reagan National Airport, which led to several aircraft conducting go-arounds. So this incident, among others, has raised concerns about the impact of controller stress and fatigue on aviation safety. Furthermore, the FAA has acknowledged the shortage. I think it was 3,500, I could be wrong, approximately 3,500 controllers. That's how many they're short of. And that's leading to extremely increased workloads and mandatory overtime for all of the existing staff. So these conditions, they can amplify stress levels among the controllers, like potentially compromising their performance and, by extension, passenger safety. And what did Donald previously do? He fired all these people of the FAA, which is stressful, and it's just causing more stress for an already extremely stressed out person. This person's so stressed to the max. So Donald's not helping at all in any way. He's making things worse, and who knows what's going to happen with this, because if they're not offering better and actually deserved incentives, then what's going to happen? I mean, these people they're doing us a favor. They're not getting paid well. They're not getting, working decent hours. They can't sleep. They're over here becoming alcoholics. They're doing this more for just a paycheck. And I think we owe them at least an acknowledgement of that. So anyways, I'm going to put the link down below, and I hope you check this video out, and I hope that it opens you up to a world of, maybe one of you has an idea what we can do about this, and it would be effective in some way. But either way, thanks for watching, and yeah, bye.
Do not come. Do not come.